Good afternoon to everyone. There is not much, to be honest, I can say about the preparations because we only had today and tomorrow to prepare for this match. But fortunately, it's a team that we have played already. A team that I still maintain. It's very dangerous if you take things for granted. A team that is very, very dangerous on transition. A team that is also very dangerous on set pieces. We may have managed to nullify that in the first match, but this one becomes a scary one because it's all or nothing now. They'll give everything. They'll throw a kitchen sink just to try to salvage a bit of pride, and that makes it a very, very difficult contest for us. But the group we have, I believe they understand what is expected of them, and I'm sure they will deliver what we are expecting from them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think the most important thing is for us as players to put everything in to put our minds in the game and not take the game for granted because we are 4-0 up. I think like coach said, it's gonna be a very difficult one. They're gonna come and like we minimize them with the transition because they have quick players, and we made sure that we score early and we try and contain them and play the football that we normally do.
Thank you. We'll take questions from the floor. Please do remember to identify yourself and the media house you represent. Any questions?
Coach, from Thapelo, in a game like this where you're leading 4-0, are you tempted at any point to sort of make changes and give opportunities? Because like you said, there are other competitions coming in that could be a hectic schedule. Are you tempted at any point to say, let me give others an opportunity?
If I can be straightforward with you, that temptation will always be there. But sometimes you just look at the caliber of the competition and you say, I don't want any slip-ups in a competition like this one, because it's very important that we give our best to make sure that the team goes into the group stages. But it is true, there is such temptation, and it will depend on what we see in training.
From News 24. My question is for the both of you guys. I'll start with you, Thapelo. There's obviously no doubt in terms of your talent and contribution, but what is it about you in terms of your positive nature and how you carry yourself in terms of, even though you don't start as many games as you would, you don't let them show, and whenever you're called into by the team, whenever you're drawn in, you are there with a positive attitude and you do what needs to be done. And something similar to the coach in terms of Thapelo. Like, what do you make of his selflessness in terms of, ever since he's been here, like, the priority has always been the team, and to an extent, partly to his detriment in terms of his game, because he's used wherever the team needs him and he does whatever is sort of good.
I think for me the most important thing it's the badge. We're playing for a big team that we all know that we always need to put the team in the right space. It's not all about me, it's all about the team and to support one another in the field. And even if I don't play and there's a player playing in my position, I'm gonna give him the respect and help him to improve, because tomorrow it might be me. I'll also need the help. So if I don't give, that means I also won't receive.
It's a pity because now if I talk nicely about him because he's next to me, you will think it's because I like him a lot. But strangely, this morning I touched on something like that within the group when we were doing our video analysis earlier. part of the things that I've been asking them is from the book, The Art of War, the 5 pillars of leadership. And I asked this, and I continuously ask from all of them, that this club does not need just players, it needs leaders. It needs people that understand what leadership is about. And the first biggest challenge that you will have as a leader is if you are selfish. Because amongst the pillars of leadership, selflessness is amongst probably the most important ones. Your intellectual capacity to be able to see beyond what is happening at that point in time. According to Stephen Covey, it's always beginning with an end in mind. If you decide to crumble because you are not playing and the other one is playing, then the question is, would you be happy if the same would happen when you get an opportunity? And the same selflessness. I also saw we had a clear demonstration in the game that we just played against SuperSport from Tembazwana. If he was a selfish person, it would be very easy for him to want to score that goal that Lucas Ribeiro scored. But he realized that the ball was going on target and there was no one to stop it from going on target. And he still made sure that he does not touch that ball so that he steals the glory and makes it his goal. And that is selflessness. And it's amongst the 5 pillars of leadership. And for me, Thapelo is an epitome of that. Is a very, very good human being, very good boy, very, very good boy. I must stop there because I nearly said things that are not right. But besides being a good boy, is a very good professional. Because in this environment, for a player that has played like the way he has played in this club from the beginning of his career at Sundowns, when we moved to Mudau in that right back position because he was injured at that time, he never sulked even when he came back. He was ready to wait for his time, and that for me is what makes you as a player, because what you give sometimes is what you get. So if you are selfish, it's all about you. It always comes back and bite you. But his career is this long, probably because of that. He's suffered a lot of very bad injuries, but because of his positive energy, because of his positive mind, because of a whole lot of positives, which I do not want to go deeper into, it always keeps him going. And you will see the relationship he has with the other right backs. You will even think he's playing a different position, because if he's outside, he's coaching them, he's talking, he's shouting, and he's telling them what to be aware of. And that is the quality of what we want to build in this club. And to be honest, it's players like this that also deserve to get captaincy in clubs.
Thank you. Any other questions?
My question is to both the coach and Thapelo. Thapelo, first to you. I think you've probably been here as long as Coach Manqoba, perhaps. What is, along the same lines as Mngqithi's question, what drives you to keep going? Because 7 or more league titles, national team player, just with the national team to win bronze now, yet another season. The coach speaks of your professionalism and appetite to keep going. In your own words, what keeps you going? And to Coach Manqoba, tomorrow the window closes. You mentioned that you had a squad of about 40, if I'm not mistaken. Are we expecting some to leave, some to still come in? And what do you make of this? You've been exposed to this phenomenon of this transfer room that's revealing transfer figures and how much you bought Salles, how much you bought Allende. Is it good for our game? Is it bad for our game to know those figures in the future?
Firstly, with me, I would say the most important thing is life after football. and also for my family to also know that I am there to support, and I'm giving everything in the field of play because I know it might be the last game, or it might open other doors. Like now we're fighting to go in the Champions League. We know that how difficult it's gonna be, and also to help whoever's coming behind. These Netherlands say they used to say, leave the jersey better than you found it. So I think that's the most important thing, to leave it the better than I found it, and to put certain goals on young people, to inspire young people to say, one day I want to become like Thapelo. For now, there's a lot going in my mind when you ask me that question, but I'm just gonna say it's for my family mostly, and for the Mamelodi Sundowns page and the Mamelodi Sundowns family, to always give them whatever I have in mind.
Okay, the issue of transfers, we've got enough players, and I would really not want to talk about what is most likely to happen, because I think I'll be taking away what the management is supposed to be responsible for in this club. So I will try to move away from the issue of what's going to happen in the last 2 days of the window. But if Lionel Messi can want to come this side, why not, guys? Why not? So the issue of transfers, personally, I'm not somebody who likes secrets. I'm that type of a person, because I don't think it helps much when you are trying to conceal the truth and the truth comes out, and probably that's where a lot of damage happens. But if we are honest and upfront about everything when it comes to transfers, just like it happens all over the world, we don't have to answer after, because at least the answers are already there. But I know sometimes that could cause issues in the change room and all that. But the fact of the matter, which is what I always speak to players when they start to feel differently, I always say, in football, you've got an opportunity. In football, your biggest opportunity is when you have to sign your own contract. You must do the best you can to get what you think you deserve. And when you don't fight at that time, if Thapelo comes after and he fights and he gets what he thinks he deserves, if when you said 5 cents is good for you, and Thapelo says, no, I need 2 rands, you can't come back to me and say, hey, but I don't think Thapelo deserves 2 rands if I'm on 5 cents. But I wouldn't really want to get deeper into that. But the truth is, in this issue of contracts and the money spent on players, personally, I would not want these things to be hidden. I would really love everything to be open and to know who is earning what in that club, because that will also help other players that are cheated maybe somewhere, where you find a PSL player is still earning 5,000-10,000 rands. So if this thing is in the public domain, I think every club will try to compete to be at a certain decent level in terms of the figures.
Good afternoon, Coach.
My brother, how are you?
Good to see you. Very good to see you. Coach, I think with all due respect, it's not a foregone conclusion that you will go to the group stages, but it looks like it. What's the feeling in and around the club? I think the club desperately, in inverted commas, needs this tournament. How far are you thinking that this club can go to, and would it be a failure if you don't win the Champions League and you've only done it once, which shows how difficult it is? What's your dreams and aspirations in regards to this season's Champions League? And to Thapelo, what makes a player to stay here for so long as you've done? I think you've spoken about your family, but from a professional point of view, what makes a player to stay at Sundowns for so long as you've stayed here for?
It's what you do mostly off the pitch, because normally we play every 3 days. So how you recover, what you eat, and the time you spend. For me, mostly it was mostly on my family, and also trying to improve my game, watching a lot of football. That's the most important thing. Recovery is one of the best.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm finished.
I say photo finish, man. You can't just say recovery. That's
No,
continue, son. Continue.
but even like training well and giving your best in the pitch. That's the most important thing.
And also what you drink. It's also important to add that maybe if you put wrong stuffs a lot because of the amount of work football players put, it's also very important for them to really take care of what they drink, because that's where a whole lot of problems come, because naturally the body requires a lot of hydration. It requires a lot of hydration, and because of that, if your hydration is the wrong stuff, you are most likely to suffer a lot of injuries, because some of the things that we drink dehydrate players and all that. But when a player makes sure that he does what he's supposed to do, will always sustain his career, just like Thapelo has done. What was the question?
The question was, it's. I think it looks like you guys will be playing the Champions League group stages. What are the, would it be, in inverted commas, a failure for you guys not to reach it because you've only won it once? And I understand how difficult, a tournament this is to win it. Hence, the big clubs have not won it 3-4 times of, Al Ali. So would it be a failure for you not to win it as a club, and not just you as the head coach of the club?
When I started coaching, I've always wanted to win from a very early age. I wanted to win something. I wanted to replicate my name as much as I can in many things that I do, in my life in particular as well. I always want to win. And that definition of who I view myself has always driven me to want to win every match that I play. And thus, I probably am the fortunate one, because I think I've coached in almost all the divisions in football, and I think I've won something in all these divisions in football. But when I got into Sundowns, I wanted to be part of a team that can win a championship. And one has been fortunate to be part of the team that has won probably 9 championships. And once I've won one championship, then it moved to the Champions League, that if we can win at least one Champions League, and fortunately, with God willing, we won the Champions League. But if I were to tell you my biggest ambition as a coach, it would be to win the Champions League. I wouldn't mind anything else. I know the championship is the gateway to winning the Champions League, but personally, as a person, I will give everything I have to make sure that we win the Champions League. And I'm very optimistic that we've got a realistic chance to win the Champions League. We just have to keep our feet on the ground and understand the dynamics and the challenges of all these different profiles of matches, because I think sometimes that's where we've let it loose, because the games of football in the Champions League are completely different. At home, most teams are going to be sitting back, but away from home, probably that's where we've got a chance to win the Champions League, by trying to do the best we can away from home when opponents are doing what we normally do at home, because probably that is the reason why we even chose a preparation phase that made us to play more against teams that were not playing with low blocks, but teams that were coming at us, because the plan was to try to make sure that we prepare ourselves for that stage where there is no respect, because the respect is what we are getting almost every second or third match, or maybe every match in the PSL. But in the Champions League, once you get into the group stages, your defenders that are not used to defend that much, because they are always possession-based, because the opponents are only coming with a counter, never really get the preparation to deal with opponents that will come at us. So the preseason went very well, and we did very well against those teams that were coming at us, not teams that gave us any respect. And that for me was a perfect dress rehearsal of what we would like to see in the Champions League, more especially in the latter stages of the Champions League. So it was a bit of a big compromise, because we knew the first games of the season that we were going to play were going to be against low blocks, because we were going to play PSL matches. But we had to take the direction to say, what are we preparing for? And the Champions League, the African Football League, the Club World Cup was the strongest in our minds when we made decisions to go and choose the opponents that we chose, not opponents that we were going to dominate, but opponents that we really had to share possession with. So, yes, it would be a failure if we do not achieve that, because that's what we've been trying to fight for. We have failed so many times, but sometimes failures are lessons, and our lessons learned maybe will pay off one day. Thank you.
My question is for Matamba. Matamba, you guys have got a number of young emerging players in the team. You are one of the leadership group members, I imagine, because of your seniority and experience. I just want to check that how much of responsibility do you guys carry, the senior players, in trying to make sure that besides the coaching staff who will talk to the younger players, but you guys as the seniors to try and play that mentoring role and help these young players to stay in the study now, because we've seen many times in the past they play one game and they think they are Ronaldo or Lionel Messi because of naivety and immaturity. What kind of responsibility you guys carry to help these young players?
I think the most important person with regarding to that, it's Themba Shiga. And the good thing with these youngsters that we have now, they listen. They are willing to learn, because we also show them from where we come from. They're fortunate to start at Mamelodi Sundowns. We started at Celtics. We had I remember I used to have Bo Bilankulu, Bo Musanyatama. So those were the guys that we were looking up to. Like, one day I want to be like Bile. I want to look after my family. So even now, it's easy for me to go to a youngster and say, after you having a good game, obviously there's hype, there's a lot of things, there's friends outside, there's also negative friends that are gonna come to you. But the most important people is when you don't have a good game and you have a bad game. Just check who's gonna come to you and who's gonna support you. And if you have a shoulder to cry on, who is willing to open the door and give you the advice. So it's either you're going to try and listen to whatever your teammates are saying, or you're going to listen to what people outside are saying. So that's the most important thing too. We always just try and give them the advice and help them.
Homoto, after Homoto will take the last 3 questions. Homoto first.
Homoto from Sundowns, coach. My question is that you recently mentioned that you are not worried or scared to take decisive action against players that you believe are not playing as they expected to. So my question would be, how do you communicate that to star players, and how do you send your message across, and that you don't create unhappiness in the camp, and that you don't create a lot of tension in the change room?
I'm not sure whether I want to answer this question. But the truth is, I do not have star players. because I've seen so many good players messing their lives. I try to be very open and fair with everyone and offer advice when necessary. By the time I take a decision, it's usually after a long talk where everybody is aware which direction I'm going to take. But the truth, I'm probably the most transparent you can find. And when I'm unhappy with something, I'm unhappy. And when I make a decision, I die with it. I'm that type of a person, but I'm not emotional. That's one thing you must know. I'm never emotional. And all these players are my kids. I'm old enough to become their father. So it is very important that in whatever I encounter with the players, if I decide to punish, I must punish just like I would punish my child. But I must not be emotional and move this thing away from punishment to hatred. So I don't hate any player, and I love them all, and I laugh with all of them. But when I punish, it's always as a result of a long conversation and warning. But fortunately, in this club, I have not arrived to that situation where I have to punish anyone. Thank you.
Coach, just to add on to Mazola's question on the price tag of Salas, in any way does it weigh heavy on him? And looking at his character, and you work with him every day, I'm sure you know the character he has. Is it something that would affect the way he plays on the pitch, because now it's out there? And the second one, you mentioned that you have a squad of 40. Is that easy to manage throughout the season, knowing that there are those who want to play?
Maybe it's because I don't listen to other people's news too much. I don't even know what he earns and how much he was bought for. I don't know, and I don't even care, because it would end up even affecting me sometimes. So I prefer not to get into in Zulu indaba zabantu.
Can you tell me?
Yeah?
Can you tell me?
Can
we tell you
how much he's earning?
How much he was bought for? It doesn't reveal how much he's earning, just how much he was bought for.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know, because maybe I will think, hey, if this money was given to me to buy a villa and a farm or what. But honestly speaking, because I do not want to question the decisions of those who lead me. Because one thing I have is that this club is run by very intelligent and successful people, and I don't think they would do anything that does not make sense. And as to whether whatever will affect his performance, I do not know, but I've not seen that. All I've seen is that he's a committed footballer. He gives his best, and he's a good football player. He's definitely going to help the team, and I have no doubt in that one. But the rest of the other stuff, guys, it's your role to like indaba zabantu. Personally, I am not into indaba zabantu. Thank you.
And managing the squad of 40?
Managing the squad of 40 is not easy. I don't want to lie to you. It's not easy. But we don't have much of an option if you consider the number of matches that we have. That is why we always try the best we can at Sundowns to have as big a technical team to make sure that even the players that are left behind are always taken care of, because the number of matches suggests that we will always have problems at the end if we don't have enough personnel. But the best thing we can do is to give respect and opportunity to all the players that we keep here, because it would not make sense to have a squad of 40 and you only play 24 players. So we have that responsibility to try and keep everyone in his toes and wanting to be part of this thing. And so far, it really looks good, because I think the players that got an opportunity after we bombed out of the MTN 8 are showing that, hey, we're also here. And I don't hear you talking about these guys. You are talking about the ones that are not playing. And these guys are winning matches, and they are achieving success that we've never achieved before. Sixth highest XG in more than 170 games that Sundowns has played. The game against SuperSport is the 7th highest XG for us as Sundowns from 2021. And all these things are positive stories that we should be reporting about for this group, so that you can also help me, so that the ones that are outside also fight to get in, and we always have a stronger team all the time to try and surpass what these ones are achieving. We've never really had these excuses against teams like SuperSport. And in the Champions League, we've played all sorts of games. You can say Mbabane is a small team, but 6th highest in 170 matches that Sundowns has played. It's very big. It's something that we should be talking about, because that's a very good story to tell, unless we are only for sensationalism.
Coach, Coach, I want to ask.
How are you, my brother?
I'm okay.
Are you good?
I'm very good.
Thank you.
I want to ask about Tuan. In the 2 games that he's played, he's looked very good. I think he's very physical, very good on the ball as well, and he's still 19 years old. I wanna get into his acquisition. I think a lot of players that these big teams are players that are looked for by all the clubs. But the Tuan signing seemed a bit under the radar. Nobody expected it, just like maybe a player like Zuku. I just want you to give us a bit of insight. How does that conversation go with you and the sporting director? I think we must give credit to him as well for signing such talent. How does that conversation look like when looking for such players?
We must give credit where it's due, because I think that one was merely on the sporting director's table and his assistant. They unlocked the data very early when the boy was still playing in the DDC at Sekhukhune, and we started discussing this boy, and we started looking at this boy very early, and we were not the ones as coaches that initiated that discussion. I'll be lying. It was the sporting director and his assistant that said, hey, there is this boy, you must have a look. And we started looking. And we always look. We may lie sometimes and say we don't look, the players are imposed on us. It's not true. They're lying. We have a look. And we looked at this boy. Fortunately, we played against him, and they were forced to play him in the PSL, and he played against us. And from there, I think everybody said, this is the right thing to do. Because the boy physically is very good, technically is very good, his attitude is out of this world. It's those players that when one day he becomes a captain of this club, you must not say what happened, because he's intelligent. For him at that age to be tactically astute as he is, credit should be given to even his previous coaches, because sometimes some of the things that he does in a team that is as complex as Sundowns will really amaze you. And I really do not want to take credit for much of that boy. Maybe my credit would be, I said, let's see what he can do for us, because it was a time where everybody else would have said, hey, maybe it's going to be difficult. Why are you bringing a youngster at this stage when the team is not in a comfortable space? But that's me. That's how I view football. That sometimes you must just give an opportunity so that you can have something to talk about. Because sometimes it's so easy to block and procrastinate and say, no, hey, we are not sure because it will be the first match, what. No, just give and see. And I've done that with so many players. And even the young players here in the team are very excited, because they know that one, will put you in, and I will put you in. Because when I believe you have achieved in the metrics of the team, I have no excuse not to give you a chance, because when we coach you and advise you and say, in this situation, do this, do that, then the next thing is to see in a match so that we can have something to talk about. Then we know where to start now. But when a young boy like Tiwane just gets in and he gives these kind of performances, gives so much in terms of our metrics, our rest defense is good, high and wide is good, his passing game is good, aggression is good, the distances he covers, the high speed runs, the super sprints, everything that we want from players who are playing these positions is giving us that. He must move on. Let's see where this thing will go.
The question is for Thapelo. You were there with the team in Egypt in 2016, even trained with them on the pitch where they won the Champions League, but you couldn't participate because you hadn't been registered. What did it do being part of that setup and being close to that achievement do to you? And what has it done in terms of driving you to now be a part of that success as a player and contributing to it?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is continentally I've almost all the medals, and I think that's the big fish that I'm still missing. And it's not only for me, it's also for our teammates to get the experience, how it feels. The feeling it's out of this world, and the most important thing is it keeps on pushing me to look high, so that I know when I fall, but I don't fall to the ground. But it's a good thing that I think for past 7 seasons we've been going out in semi-finals, quarter-finals, so we can still see the light, and that's the most important thing, to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we just need to drive the car safely, smoothly, and we'll reach there.
We have a last question here, Coach.
Yeah, could just injury update if there is any for players like Nasri, Abubakar, and some that you reached last week, if there's any update.
Yeah, on the injuries, we are really coming right, if I can be honest with you. I think the only few players that are not ready to be part of the squad for this match probably would be Neo. Mutobi is also as close as possible. Kigen is also as close. I don't know if I'm missing anyone, but we are really doing well in that space. We are having almost a full complement of our squad.
Is Nasri still here?
I only talk about registered players.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Police.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thompson.